Hello, brothers and sisters in Christ. I happened upon a story kind of by accident, actually. And to be honest, I don't remember whose channel or email I clicked on, but then on the right, I clicked on this particular story. I'm on prophecynewswatch.com. This particular story is called The 13-Year Tragedy of Gaza. Now, you won't believe it. Well, you probably will believe it. It's something I never heard before. Of course, I don't watch the news. 13 years. I guess, yeah, I used to watch Fox News a lot. But still, I've never heard this. All right. The United Nations. Let me see. Is that the first? Yeah, that's the first line. And, wow. By Justin, this is really tiny, Justin Amler / no. Well, it might be the name. That's under the picture. Justin Amler / INS org. I guess organization. Dated November 15, 2018. Okay. Gotta get the source right? All right, let me check my placement. All right, that'll do. The United Nations, the incredibly morally defunct, hypocritical organization, boy, they got that right, that thinks it has some kind of higher moral authority to dictate to others. Well, I wonder why they think that. Said that a new war in Gaza would be an incredible tragedy. Quote, an incredible tragedy. Once again, they have it wrong about what exactly a tragedy is. Because the tragedy is what has been brewing in Gaza for the last 13 years. This really surprised me, brothers and sisters. I did not realize. I knew they were basically terrorists, PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. Back in the 70s, I remember them as terrorists. Okay, let me continue. Once again, they have it wrong. Okay, so I said that already. Because what has been brewing in Gaza for the last 13 years. I'm trying these glasses to see if it'll help me read. In 2005, Israel left Gaza, pulling out all soldiers and all civilians. I do seem to remember that. They were fighting each other all the time, so Israel pulled out, said, all right, you can have Gaza back. They were uprooting people's homes and uprooting. Let me start over. In 2005, Israel left Gaza, pulling out all soldiers and all civilians, uprooting people's homes and uprooting their lives and families. When Israel withdrew, it left behind good working infrastructure to give the Arabs in Gaza a chance to make something of their lives, to build a largely independent entity that would allow them to determine their own destiny. Israel gave them opportunities, including a successful greenhouse business with crops ready for export. But instead of embracing the golden opportunity presented to them, an opportunity for self-determination never offered by any of their Arab brothers, they chose not to take it. There it was, in the land. It was theirs. The Israelis moved out. left this greenhouse business that they had built with their hard-earned money and invested in the name of peace. They chose not to take it. Instead, this is not working. The printing just seems to be getting lighter and lighter. They chose not to take it. Instead of lifting themselves up with the greenhouses, they looted them instead. Instead of inhabiting the previous Jewish community settlements, they ransacked them. Why? Why didn't they just move their people in and enjoy them? They carted off materials such as irrigation hoses, water pumps, and plastic sheeting. The money and the materials that were poured into this coastal strip meant to help the Arab residents of the Palestinian Authority become a successful model of the so-called Arab dream of yet another Arab state, turned out to be a nightmare instead. See, it wasn't God's will. It was not His will for that land to be given to them. In the 13 years since Israel left, the focus of the Arabs in Gaza under their thuggish terrorist dictatorship has never been about the future. It's never been about building a better life. It's never been about helping their people. It's never been about making the future one of hope and opportunity and aspirations. It's been the polar opposite. You're so sweet. My doggy just jumped down off the bed and got on the chair. He loves it. Okay, where was I? He distracted me. You're so cute, you distracted me. Yes, you did. I love you so much. It's never been about making the future one of hope and opportunity and aspirations. It's been the polar opposite. The infrastructure of hope that was supposed to have been built has been replaced with the infrastructure of hate. The precious minds of engineers, rather than being focused on building vital civilian infrastructure such as water plants and electricity stations, have been maliciously turned to building rockets and tunnels, each of them designed for the sole purpose of bringing death to men, women, and children. They have built purely to kill. There's a little video here you can click on. It says, "This triggers the tribulation, the coming convergence," which I have not clicked on yet. But I'm going to leave the link, and you can go here, scroll down, and click on this little video if you want to. The tragedy is not if a war is coming, because it is. The tragedy is that all the billions of dollars the Arabs have received, the support and hopes and sheer will of much of the world for them to be successful, has been squandered, but not by mismanagement, but rather a deliberate national goal of destroying the only Jewish state on earth. There we got the Isaac and the Ishmael. Ever since how long ago? over 3 millennia, none of that will happen, because for the Arab leaders, their future is not determined about what they can build, but only by what they can destroy. Did I miss something? Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I said, but rather a deliberate national goal of destroying only Jewish state on earth. How many hospitals and schools and universities could have been built? How many centers of excellence of science and development could have flourished? How many dreams could have been fulfilled and opportunities made? None of that will happen, because for the Arab leaders, the future is not determined about what they can build, but only by what they can destroy. Meanwhile, in Israel's southern communities, rockets continue to fall on innocent people, hurting, terrorizing, and killing them. Terror tunnels continue to be built beneath sleeping children. Kids continue to be traumatized along with their parents, who just want to protect them, as all parents do. For children to grow up thinking that it is normal to run to bomb shelters, knowing that getting there within seconds could be the difference between life and death. Well, that is the real tragedy. War is not the tragedy, as the United Nations seem to think. War is the inevitable result of what happens when a terrorist entity is allowed to flourish without reprimand or consequences. Because there was the where was the international community during these last 13 years? Good question, huh? Where was the condemnation of what the Hamas rulers were doing? The way they hid rockets under UN-funded schools? Or the way they purposely and cynically used civilians as cannon fodder on the Gaza border fence? On the Gaza border fence. Or the way they even intimidated UN staff and press? Where was the UN Secretary General calling for restraint as they built their terror tunnels night and day? And accountability? Where was that, as the funds of the international community meant for reconstruction instead became the funds of blood and death, destined for deconstruction? And even still, Israel continues to supply power and water and even money in the hopes that things will change. Israel has a problem. It's like they're codependent or something. But things will not change, because until generations are educated for peace rather than war, and until there are consequences for building terror infrastructure, why should things change at all? No rational people want war. Oh, I'm sorry. No rational people want war, but we are not dealing with rational people. You see how things change when you add a comma or don't add, in the right place? There was no comma, so I read it wrong. No rational people want war, but we are not dealing with rational people. We are dealing with an evil entity that will not stop. no matter how nice you are to them. It's not working. Being nice to them is not working. They gave them the land and everything in it. They left all their homes, so all they had to do was move into them and enjoy them. And go to work, making Gaza a Palestinian state. And they talk about wanting a Palestinian state. They will not stop, no matter how much water or electricity you supply. They will not stop on their own because no one is forcing them to. And until they are forced to stop, the rocket attacks and the border infiltration attempts and the violence will continue. I know it's all in the Bible. It's all prophesied. We know it's going to happen. It's going to lead to a major war. And everybody's making Israel look bad because they fight back. That's what I hate. Egyptians and other international players are furiously working for a ceasefire. But you cannot have a ceasefire with evil, because evil does not cease its fire. It only waits in the shadows to launch again. War is coming, but that's not the tragedy. The tragedy is that it was allowed to get to this stage in the first place. Originally published at jns.org, reposted with permission. Then it says click back to homepage. Well, I want to grab this link right here. I'm going to copy it so you can go straight to this article. And then I'm going to go back to homepage. And I was at PNW, Prophecy News Watch. Again, I don't remember how I got here. Does that surprise anybody? No. Well, I'm going to end this video. I plead the blood of Jesus over this. I hope it taught you something about what's going on in Israel, whether you like the fact that they are not serving the Lord like they should, or accepting Jesus as they should, or not. The land of Israel was given to Jewish Hebrew Israelites by God, and it is theirs. And they gave a portion of it away, when what they should have done was blasted them out of there to begin with. So now they have all this trouble, and it's coming from the West Bank too. Anyway, I'll end it there. That's just my take on it. Well, that's pretty much what's happening. So I plead the blood of Jesus over this video, the internet connection, and over each and every one of you as well, and all your devices, so we can stay connected, even if it's just a handful of us, until Jesus comes back, and I pray it's soon. Reading this just made me sick. I did not realize. I knew they helped them. I had read short articles about how Israel was supplying them with food and water. Somewhere I had read that in the past. I didn't know they were giving them all that, and I guess I'd probably read it, but it's been so long ago I didn't remember it. Well, I just jogged your memory. Now you can remember it or learn of it. With that, I'll say bye for now. I'll talk to you later.